Well, good morning, everybody.
On the 5th of October, TPP was officially completed its phase of negotiations and is expected to be formally signed by the end of 2015 or early 2016. 12 countries with the population of 800 million people generate 40% of the global GDP will form a group to work together and boost trade in the Asia-Pacific region. Opportunities are accompanying challenges. In particular, livestock sector of the agriculture industry is considered to be the most vulnerable industry when Vietnam joins TPP.
TPP thì những cái ảnh hưởng nó rất là đa dạng, rất khác nhau bởi vì cái sự khác nhau của TPP, các nước trong thành viên TPP về những cái thế mạnh của họ là rất khác. Và vì thế mà cái khả năng thay thế hay là khả năng cạnh tranh của họ đến cái nền kinh tế, cái hàng hóa của nền kinh tế Việt Nam chúng ta là rất là nhiều.
Thời gian vừa qua đấy, thực ra là mức độ đầu tư vào nông nghiệp vẫn không cao, trong khi mức độ bảo hộ cho nông nghiệp là rất thấp. Nhưng mà lại chính vì sống trong cái thế giới cạnh tranh, chấp nhận cuộc cạnh tranh thậm chí nhiều lúc không công bằng như thế đấy, người nông dân và doanh nhân Việt Nam đã đứng lên bằng sức của mình. Thật sự là có rất nhiều ngành hàng bị đổ vỡ, có rất nhiều nông dân phá sản. Nhưng mà về cơ bản ấy, thì ngành nông nghiệp Việt Nam đã trở thành một ngành nông nghiệp xuất khẩu sống động. Chúng ta đã vượt lên xuất khẩu đến 31 tỷ đô la vào thị trường thế giới.
TPP requires high standards of transparency, facilitate the supply chain and business operation of the enterprise. This is a huge pressure for the administrative apparatus and government, creating an urgent need for measures to restructure the agricultural sector, especially the livestock sector.
Tạo ra một cái động lực như thế cho nông dân, cho doanh nhân và cho nhà khoa học thì chúng ta sẽ có thể phát triển rất tốt sản phẩm nông nghiệp. Và nếu chúng ta làm khâu thành công, khâu cuối cùng là khâu đưa sản phẩm chúng ta ra thị trường, làm tốt xúc tiến thương mại, làm tốt nghiên cứu thị trường, đưa được thương hiệu Việt Nam ra, thì Việt Nam một lần nữa sẽ thắng lợi. Thì thắng lợi hay không phải ở hiệp định, thắng lợi hay không ở chính cái quyết tâm đổi mới của chúng ta.
As a strategic partner of Vietnam and the achievements in agriculture and livestock upon which this nation achieved, New Zealand is committed to support Vietnam in the exchange of experience, transfer of technology and quality management system provides favorable conditions for Vietnam to grasp the opportunity that TPP has brought up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sharing Vietnam on VTC10 NetViet. TPP has come to the ending phase of negotiations, and it's the sooner or later that it will take effect. What Vietnam has to do in order to prepare for the opportunities and challenges of TPP. Please join me in welcome the Agricultural Trade Envoy from New Zealand, Mr. Mike Peterson. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Peterson, for joining Sharing Vietnam today. First of all, more than 90% of the agricultural products of New Zealand are exporting to foreign markets, and this shows that New Zealand has been very successful in quality control and food safety. So can you share more with us about these achievements?
And we've learned over the years that if we want to be selling food to consumers, high-value food to consumers, then we need to make sure that we can assure them about the safety and the quality of the food. And this starts right back on the farm, in the orchards where we grow and produce our products. So a number of systems that we have in place on the farm for a start, where we have quality assurance programs to make sure that we are doing everything we can to provide the food for processing factories in a form that is healthy, and also meets minimum standards for animal welfare. Then when the animal is processed in the factories and further processed into other cuts that go into world markets, again we need to make sure that everything is done in the most hygienic way to ensure that we can guarantee our consumers of the safety of the food when it gets into the markets. Because New Zealand is a long way away from the markets, and so it takes a long time on the ships to get our food to market, and so we need to make sure that our shelf life is sufficient.
So is there any similarities in the livestock sectors of the two countries? And if so, is there any kind of experience from New Zealand that will be fit for the context of Vietnam?
I think there are similarities, but I think too we need to recognise that with about 95 million people, Vietnam has a very big domestic market. And so maybe the opportunities for Vietnam when it comes to livestock production might be in satisfying the domestic market first, but then looking at how they can also make the most money out of premium cuts in some export markets. And I think Vietnam has a big advantage in that respect. You're much closer to the large consumer markets, particularly around Asia and Southeast Asia. And so that's a big opportunity that Vietnam has that New Zealand does not. But the principles of exporting and making sure that there are good, robust systems in place for food safety are the same. And so if you want to export to markets that we're exporting to, then the systems will need to be very robust as well.
What are the opportunities that TPP will open up for a country like Vietnam, especially in the livestock sector? And what is the role of a strategic partner like New Zealand would be in supporting Vietnam to grasp this opportunity?
So I think this is a huge opportunity, particularly in the agricultural sector, not just for New Zealand but for Vietnam. And I think that we will see a lot of cooperation between the affluent established markets and producers in TPP, working with the developing nations in TPP to see how we can improve the export and trade of food across all of those nations.
That I mentioned before.
Recently, experts in agriculture and food safety of New Zealand's leading research institutes, such as Assure Quality, Ag Research, Plant and Food Research, came to Vietnam to participate in the exchange ideas and find commercial opportunities for cooperation workshop with Vietnamese partners from the ministries, research, education and science institutes, and the stakeholders in the private sector. Event organized by the New Zealand Embassy in collaboration with the New Zealand Trade and Business Promotion Agency and the Intergovernmental Cooperation Company G2G to support the objectives of productivity growth in the field of agriculture by the Vietnamese government in the context of TPP. This activity is in the framework as the result of the Food Safety Cooperative Mechanism signed by the two governments during March 2015.
Unless we get the food safety piece right together, it's going to be harder for Vietnam to really benefit from opportunities like TPP to really make the most of exporting its wonderful products to the world. I think our food safety systems, while they're not necessarily replicable here in Vietnam, you can't necessarily do the same thing. There are some really useful pointers in terms of our experience, in terms of the way in which we manage risk, in terms of the way we audit and test, which may be applicable here for Vietnam in future. So these things take a little bit of time, but we've taken the first important steps in terms of building the relationships. And in addition to that, we have some really important development assistance projects underway as well.
With the strengths in gene research and development, high-quality management, production and processing systems, market knowledge and experience in promoting goods abroad, New Zealand will be an important partner to support Vietnam in the restructuring of the livestock sector set out by the government. As members of the TPP, with agriculture and particularly animal husbandry is a key sector of the national economy, the two countries can support each other, participate in the value chain of agricultural commodities to generate mutual benefits from this agreement.
Mặc dù New Zealand là một cái nước rất là nhỏ, tức là cái quy mô thị trường thì không lớn, và hiện nay là chúng ta đang nhập siêu từ New Zealand. Tuy nhiên cái triển vọng phối hợp hai bên để mà đưa vào thị trường Việt Nam, đưa vào thị trường New Zealand và xuất sang nước thứ ba là rất là lớn. Bò thịt và chăn nuôi thì là cái ngành mà chúng rất lo ngại trong cái thời kỳ mà trong các cái vòng đàm phán và vòng hội nhập sắp tới. Tuy nhiên chúng ta có thể phối hợp với New Zealand để mà họ làm phần đầu, chúng ta làm phần sau và mỗi bên đều được hưởng một phần giá trị gia tăng.
Many experts has claimed that with TPP taking effect, the domestic livestock sector enterprise will be extremely vulnerable even in our own market. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't agree with that view entirely. I accept the argument that there are efficient countries that are very efficient in agricultural production that do have the ability to export products to markets like Vietnam. But we see in every country of the world, we see strong demand for domestically produced food. So I think that we will see increased trade across the region, but I think in the majority of cases, including Vietnam, the demand for locally produced food will continue.
And if there is anything that Vietnamese enterprise have to take in mind when they compete with other foreign enterprise when TPP take effect, what would that be?
Oh, well, I think the need to make sure that that the food is of high quality, that it is safe, that we see ongoing innovation and development of new products in the market. I mean, those are all the things that we are working on every day, and so I'm sure that for Vietnam, those will be the same areas that they'll need to focus on as well.
The biggest challenge for the livestock sector in Vietnam is food safety, and the two governments has recently signed a food safety cooperation mechanism. How do you think that this mechanism will be a foundation for future cooperation?
And I think the agreement that we've signed provides again a framework where we can sit down and look at the areas of interest that Vietnam has around food safety, and how we can help with some of the systems and the entities that we have in New Zealand that have spent a lot of time investing in this area.
And what are your recommendations for the Vietnamese government in supporting the domestic enterprise in competing while the TPP will take effect?
There are opportunities for Vietnam in TPP to work with the other partners in TPP and maybe to look at how policies can be changed to help improve the lives of the people that are in Vietnam, particularly in agriculture. So I think there will be areas of policy that might be of interest. We've already seen some interest in the seminar today from a number of entities in Vietnam about looking at how we operate research in New Zealand, how the government is involved in helping determine the research priorities alongside the private sector in New Zealand. Also areas of agricultural education and how the universities might be able to help with improving the skills and knowledge involved in the agricultural sector. So the government can always play a very important role in those areas around how the industry is set up, how it functions, but importantly we need the commercial companies to also do what's required, and that will come down to the government making sure the right regulatory framework is in place so commercial companies can get on with the business of producing, processing and exporting quality food.
And finally, as a trade envoy in agriculture from New Zealand, what do you hope as the outcome of this trip for the future cooperations of the two countries in the livestock sector?
So my hope and expectation is that we have Vietnamese companies and agencies that look at what we're doing in New Zealand and look at how we can adapt some of the things we do for what would be right for Vietnam. They won't be solutions that we can impose directly from New Zealand into Vietnam, but there will be things we do that we can adapt that I'm sure can be of big help for the Vietnamese economy.
Thank you, Mr. Mike Peterson, so much for all of your sharing today.
Pleasure.
And that's the end for Sharing Vietnam today. Thank you so much for watching us. Any questions and recommendations, please email to sharingvietnam@netvittv.net. Thank you and see you again.